For as long as religion has existed, there have been concepts of hell, a place of torment and retribution for those condemned by the dominant faith. It has been depicted in books, movies, music, and continues to serve as a very influential tool for religion even to this day. Video games have also tried their hand at depicting hell. The 1993 badass simulator Doom has you gunning down demons, and Electronic Arts' very loose interpretation of Dante's Inferno has you going through and saving your lover from the pits of torment. But no game has taken the concept quite as far as the upcoming Agony. Agony was thought up by Tomek. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name. A game developer who has worked on Sniper, Ghost Warrior 2, and Alien Rage, both by City Interactive Games. He had the idea to make a hell-based survival horror originally called Sacred Agony, creating an animation to show off what the aesthetic and ideas and some of the mechanics of this strange, awful hell would be. It garnered some interest among gamers and truly presented a hell that has went farther and harder and bloodier than any previous depiction thus so far. Today I want to go over the history of the game and trek its journey out of its own development hell. You might be wondering why the game is called Sacred Agony as opposed to just Agony. The fact of the matter is, there was already a game called Agony, a pixelated side-scrolling shooter that ultimately didn't last very long in people's minds. Tomek did not know that the copyright on the name Agony had expired, and only after the failed iteration of Sacred Agony did he realize he can use the term proper. Might I be subjective right now and say I kind of wish they kept the original name? If nothing else, it would make it a little bit easier to Google and look up. Though the name was different, the concept remained the same. You are a soul. You are in hell. You want to get out. You're looking for the Red Goddess, thinking she can help you escape the place, and you can use the ability to possess other people or even simple-minded demons in order to get through your treacherous, perilous journey. As said before, the animation was fairly well received, so in response, Tomek went on to create a Kickstarter for the game. Now, why did this Kickstarter fail? Why did Sacred Agony not come into fruition? It might be partly because of the outrageous asking price. I'm serious about this. $500,000. The Kickstarter was launched on July 12th, 2015, and it did not quite go well. He had high hopes, making a Steam page for the game, and going over many details we now know exist in the final product, but ultimately it failed. On August 20th, a little over a month after the campaign was launched, the Kickstarter was closed, and the only thing of note from there was a forum, which, yeah. But if that were the end of Agony's journey, this would be a very pointless video. Failed Kickstarters are a dime a dozen, especially for video games. It seems the man downstairs was looking out for Tomek, because he got another chance at making his gruesome game a reality. He decided to take a more professional approach, and in 2016, Madmind Studio was founded by Tomek and a group of his friends in the industry. Making his own studio allows him to make the game as brutal and controversial as he wants. He doesn't have to answer to any CEO or higher up. And even though the idea of starting your own studio with a group of buddies might seem a bit unprofessional, these people are veterans in the industry. They have worked on such games like The Witcher 3 and The Division. They certainly aren't anybody who just crawled out of making their computer program say "Hello World." Initially, the studio had 12 members, but has since grown to over 20 and perhaps even more as of recording this video. Not everything was done in studio though. As far back as the days of Sacred Agony, the songs and soundtrack was made by the composer Draco Nard, whose work you'll hear in this video, and the band Android Lust. For the dripping, breaking, and screeching sounds of hell, Patrick Carwatt offered his talents to create the soundscape of this deadly inferno. With all the tools and people needed, it was time for Agony to once again launch on Kickstarter. On October 31st, asking for a more reasonable $66,666, Agony officially launched on Kickstarter. Unlike the previous, it was a success, even funding its stretch goals like a 3D viewer or Agony mode, which was mentioned in the first failed Kickstarter. One of the biggest reasons for the campaign's success was the demo available to backers. Players could record themselves trekking through hell and post it on YouTube. Big-named YouTubers like Penguin Zero and even PewDiePie recorded themselves, exposing hell to thousands of people, more than any video game journalist website, and certainly more than any straight-up Kickstarter page could hope to manage. So on November 14th, the game was declared successfully funded. And so on December 10th, the Kickstarter ended with $182,000, less than Sacred Agony's amount, mind you. But the news didn't stop there. A physical release was announced, so now rather than buying the game on Steam or some other online retailer from the comfort of your home, you can make that walk of shame into Target or GameStop or Best Buy or wherever else they get video games, and you can show everyone else what a depraved pervert you are. Congratulations. This news was met with skepticism though. People were worried that a physical release would mean that some things would be cut from the game. The appeal of Agony is its raw brutality. It's unapologetically violent, sexual. No one wants that dumbed down, especially for a bunch of people who probably won't even play the game. With a physical release, there's always the chances for more restrictions. The devs have stated that if they are forced to remove things from the game to avoid an adults-only rating, which would prohibit the game from being sold in retailers, the PC gamers will get a free 18+ patch when the game is released. And for the console gamers, well, at least you get to pick a cover. But seriously, you might want to build a PC if that ever happens. After the announcement of a physical release date, the Agony hype train started to slow down. There wasn't really any major news coming out about the game after that, much less a release date. Originally the game was slated for a second quarter 2017 release. Then it was pushed back to before 2018. At this point, we didn't even know if it would be released at all. It certainly didn't seem like it would be released in 2017 with the extra issues that would come with publishing the game in physical copies. People started to wonder if the game would even be released at all. Perhaps Agony was just a giant scam. Or maybe so many things were removed from the game the devs were afraid to show their faces. While they did make a few posts on Facebook asking questions to the viewers and fans, and they did have some demos at video game conventions, it was a pretty long dry spell as far as people are concerned, made all the worse by them shilling out other Kickstarter campaigns that were made by Playway, the publishers of Agony, when they haven't even given a release date for Agony itself. And yet, patience pays off, and finally it was announced that on March 30th, 2018, the game will officially be released, and the gates of hell will be opened for all to pass through. And that's the story so far. What will happen in the future of the game? Will it be censored in various countries? Will special interest groups complain? Perhaps it will cause another major controversy between gamers and video game journalists, similar to other edgy, controversial games like Hatred. We will have to wait and see. But so far it had a nifty little history, and I look forward to the game's final release.